This is the Bobcat 863, and these are Grouser tracks. Let's put them on. These tracks that come with this skid steer are not new, and I've had them laying in the weeds ever since I've owned it. I've never had them on the machine, but they supposedly came off the machine when the previous owner bought it. One thing I don't have the bushings that goes in these links, and that may be a problem. If I can't find them, I might have to make them. I've called several dealers around here. Nobody carries replacement parts. I can get them from Grouser. It takes a few days. The problem is I need them tomorrow. And I put a new tire on the machine. I guess it's got a new tire on both sides. So we may have to loosen these tracks. From what I can tell on these tracks though, the links are all the way out on both sets. Best I can tell. I can't tell that we can tighten them up, but there's no way to make them any looser. So that may be a problem too. Let's give it a fit up and see what happens. Well, it's rolled on anyway. I guess I'll pull this back piece up over the tire and then back it up and try to pull what little slack there is out of the front for it. It's on there pretty wide. Hopefully it won't damage the tires. They said they've been on here before, so we'll see what happens. The guy that sold me the machine sold me this device, and I am having a hard time getting it on here. And you're not supposed to hook it to the first link on each one, that way you got room to move them. So that means you got to hook it to the second link, and I just don't have enough slack to do that. So I'm going to try to use what everybody else uses and put a ratchet strap on it, because I am struggling with this thing here, and I'm by myself, so I'll try the traditional method and see if that works. Well, I'm kind of stuck today. I have to wait till tomorrow. I don't have the 1 1/4 bushings. I can't find them anywhere. I found the hardware description online. They charge, for 4 bolts, they charge you $20 to ship it. It's like $6 for the bolts, and then $20 to ship it. Comes to almost $30 shipping and handling. I can't believe it. So I'm just going to go, if all else fails, I've got some 1-inch bar stock in there. I'll cut some bar stock and drill a hole through the center of it. Make a bushing that way. I took one off. Way I know how thick to make it. I think I'll get me some fine thread, grade 8 carriage bolts and put back in it. That's about all I know to do. It needs a complete rebuild. I took some of the bushings out and they're pretty worn, so there's a lot of slack in it. It looks like at some point, and I did find a place where somebody has tightened the track up, and I may have to take that back out. I can't get it to draw up enough. If I back it back and forth and take the slack off the wheels, maybe. We'll see what happens. I'll get some more parts and we'll come back. Well, I could not find my bushings for my Grouser tracks. So Matt come over and he found this piece of steel here. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's harder than algebra. We've been sawing on it. You can see where we've been trying to cut it. It's turning blue. We're going to use some of these special Sawzall blades and try to cut. We got to have 4 bushings. And Matt set it up on a drill press and drilled a centering hole so we can already have a hole drilled in all 4 bushings. We'll just slice them off. We've got a chop saw. We tried to chop this end off with a chop saw, and we think that's why it turns so blue. It just put so much heat into it that it just wasn't cutting. And I figure this is some kind of stainless, because the more you heat and cut on stainless, the harder it gets anyway. We're going to try to chop 4 bushings out of it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, it's a different day. We're back on this skid steer on these Grouser tracks. I've been having a hard time finding hardware. I lost the hardware that holds the track together. And we looked everywhere, and all we could find was grade 5 bolts. The problem with the grade 5 bolts is they're threaded completely. And something that's going to be riding inside of a bushing doesn't need to be threaded. And then Matt and I made these bushings ourselves out of hardened, like conveyor belt or drive shaft steel, conveyor shaft steel, which is the same hardness as the bushings that come out of it. I thought it would be too hard, but it's not. They're both about the same. But we could not find this smooth shaft bolt that just had fine thread on the end. And I probably put miles and miles on my truck going to different places, and one place we had the bolt and the nut, but it was coarse thread. They did have the lock and nut, but still we don't have that. It's grade 5, and we don't have that smooth shaft that needs to go through the bushing. So I got online and found Grouser, and Grouser has like 5 different models, or 6, 7. I don't know, it goes all the way through E or F. And they need the model number. And I'm sure it's on here at one time. But I found another website called something Tracks, but it's, when they sent the package to me, it was called Ag Industrial out of New Holland, Pennsylvania. And they had the later version of the bolts. Let's see if I can get one of these out of here. Had the later version of the bolts that were the same. They got the locking nuts, they're fine thread. And this is the big change. This is different. It's thicker. It's the same diameter, but it's thicker than the one that come out of it. And it's also got these teeth on each side that are really sharp. They're designed to cut in to the side and hold this bushing, keep it from spinning on the bolt. And that's what was wrong with the bolt that I took out, whatever I done with it. It had wallered the inside of the bushing out. And the bushing's not supposed to spin, it's just supposed to rotate on the outside. And I guess it's meant to wear this cleat out, or this dog bone thing out, rather than it is the bushing. I'm not really sure, but we're going to try with the later bushings, the harder bushings that's got these little teeth in them. They're like a walk washer, I guess. I'm going to put them in and see how that holds this thing together. It's been a few days, and of course I got rained out on the job we were heading to, so that gives us a little extra time. We should have this thing put together pretty quick. We got this side on. It has a little slack. We're going to try it like that and air the tars the rest of the way up. I don't think the tars are aired all the way up. But you don't have to let the air out of the tars to put these on. I've seen people do that, but I don't think you have to. Mine are just low. Got a new tire in the back, so we had to take several lengths we had to move her from the inside to the outside on probably 6 or 8 links to get enough slack to cover that new tire. When I put a new tire up here, I don't know what we're going to do there. I don't think there's any more slack to take out of it. There might be 2 that has to be moved. And then Matt's got this side nearly together. He's putting the last bolt in right now. We use this little strap. And there's a trick to this. You can't just put the strap on and expect it to pull it together, because there'll be slack down here and there. So what I seen someone do on the internet was they put the strap on and then they backed the machine back until the strap rolled over the edge, then backed it forward till the strap rolled over the edge, and then centered the strap again. And that gives you about 3 more inches. It takes all the slack out of your tires. Then all you gotta do is put your bolts and bushings in. Then you just have to remove your strap. We'll probably have to back it up a little bit to get our strap out, but that's a whole lot easier than trying to pull them together, because these things will not pull up over top of these lugs. So you got to back it back and forth and let it walk over them. Then you get your slack that you need. We got our new bolts and bushings in. In a few minutes we're going to give this thing a try after we get the strap off of it. We got our tracks on. As soon as we aired the tires up, we realized they had plugs on. The plugs started leaking, of course. So we've got to clean those out, put some plugs in them and some glue. The 2 front tires. I would find this out after we get the chains on it. So we'll try to plug it up. This one acts like it's got a little slack, but it ain't too bad. When it goes backwards, they tighten up really tight and start skipping over this tire. I think that's because we got a big tire and a wore out tire, and it seems to be pulling on this one real hard, and that's when it started leaking. So we may have other issues. May have to go get some tires. That means taking the chains back off. Here we go again. So we finally got the tracks on the machine, and we think we got our tires to quit leaking. We had to put tire slime in our 2 front tires. And we're having a problem with this tire. It ain't really this tire, it's this one. You can see it's starting to peel the rubber off of it. This new tire is bigger and got more lugs on it, so it holds on to the track. This small tire wants to spin faster. So the tire back here is pulling it, and it's spinning this tire against it and pulling the rubber off of it. So you can't have an older tire and a new tire on the same side, I guess. We're only going to have these on here for a couple of days, but it's probably going to destroy this front tire. And hopefully it don't break it off the bead. We're going to try to keep enough air in it to keep that from happening. But we had a lot of slop in this track when we first put it on, so we've been going through and tightening it up. And it's not pulling nearly as bad where we've tightened it up. Had to stop for a minute. Every motorcycle in the country decided they wanted to go by. But we've got our bucket on to get ready to load it up on the trailer. This track over here was tight to start with when we put it on, but these 2 tires are pretty much equal. But you can still notice that it pulls against this tire harder than it does the back one. These are pretty much the same tire. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe we got them too tight. I've seen a lot of them running around with a lot of slack in them, but when you put slack on that other side, that big tire tries to pull it all the way down to the bottom. So I got a lot to learn about these. I've never dealt with these tracks before. I've had them for a couple of years, but I've never put them on the machine. So anybody that knows more about these than me, please comment and let me know. That way we need to do the right thing. I don't want a tire. Of course, these is old tires, and they got holes all in them, so not really too worried about damaging these. But the new tire I got on the back on the other side, I sure don't want to destroy it. They're kind of expensive. Doesn't seem to be hurting it yet. It's got a little give to it. Let's say we get done, these back corners will be chewed plumb off. We'll see what happens. So I bought these little things here. True Power Trailer Alignment Kit. I thought they were kind of a joke at first. But actually, I'm horrible at backing up trailers. So these things are pretty handy. I put this one right here on the ball. this one on the hitch. I gotta get this unhooked first. I gotta take the lock off of it. Like this. It usually works to line them pretty good. You just back up until it knocks the little ball off, and you're basically over top of it. We might have to pull forward just a smidge. I don't think so. First try, and I can't never get it the first try, but these little tennis balls help. They fold up neat and go inside your toolbox. Get that to go down. There it went. Pretty simple. These things are cool. Well, there it is, all loaded up with the tracks in place. I don't know much about these things, but I know when you go backwards they get a lot tighter. I backed it onto the trailer. May have backed it up a little bit too far, but usually put that wheel about here so it's riding over top of the axles, but we're not squatting too bad on the floor. I'd rather have it too far forward than too far back. Everybody knows what happens when it's too far back. You wind up out of control. So let's get this thing strapped down, and that's my take on putting these Grouser tracks on. It took me a couple of days because I had to get bushings and track bolts. See them back here. But the ones I replaced, I'm getting the feeling that some of these dog bone things are worn out. So I'm going to have to probably get, if I keep on using these, I'll probably have to get a new set of these dog bones. Probably not. I think, like I said, the whole kit with all the bolts and little bones and everything, the only thing you don't get with the kit is the track pads themselves, is nearly $500. So I'm going to really have to need these things to go through that. Right now I'll just keep, if a bolt breaks, I'll just replace it because I got a whole bag of them. I'm going to order more bushings. But if you guys like this video and want to see more like it, subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. That always helps. We're not quite to 1,000 subscribers yet, so we're not monetized, so we need all the subscribers we can get. So please subscribe if you don't mind. It helps us, doesn't cost you anything. And that's putting the Grouser tracks on a Bobcat 863. Thank you guys for watching. Stay clean.